All right. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Kriner Scoop, where we are covering the USFL today. So we are doing predictions for Week 3 this week. So who's going to win, who's going to lose, and how many points are they going to score? We'll try and answer that today. Just a little reminder, action kicks off this afternoon, so let's get right into it. I'll start by noting that historically, I am 3 for 4 in my predictions so far this season. So 75%, which isn't too shabby. But we'll see if we can improve it throughout the season. First up, we have the Tampa Bay Bandits at the Houston Gamblers. I actually had the pleasure of watching the Tampa Bay Bandits play last week against my New Orleans Breakers. And they did not look great. They actually seem to regress from week 1 to week 2 on offense and on defense. On the other side, we have the Houston Gamblers, who might be the most under the radar or boring, depending on how you look at it, team of the league so far. I had to actually look up who their quarterback was again, the only team I had to do that for. FYI, his name is Clayton Thorson, and he seems very mediocre. The only other thing I know about the Gamblers is that I was too high on them last week. They were actually my only miss when I picked them to beat the Birmingham Stallions in week 2, which did not happen. So because of all that, I'm picking Tampa Bay to win this one over Houston, 21-10. So let's just fly into the next game. We have the Birmingham Stallions at the New Orleans Breakers. So this will be our game of the week. The last undefeated teams in the league face off in this matchup, actually. So if you can catch one USFL game this weekend, I recommend that you try and catch this one on Fox tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But let's get into the matchup. For the Stallions, we have Jamar Smith, who continues to impress, or he continued to impress in week 2 after his game-winning drive in week 1. Let's all just take a moment of silence for Alex Magoo's USFL career. Thank you. But what happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object? Well, I guess we will just find out when Jamar Smith and the Stallions offense take on the Breakers defense, who claim all of the Defensive Player of the Week awards so far. That defense, plus Kyle Sloter and his acrobatic receivers on the Breakers offense, give them an edge. New Orleans wins a close one, 30-28. All right, third game we have in the lineup. We go from a game of winners to a game of losers, because we had the last winless teams of this young season when the Pittsburgh Maulers take on the Michigan Panthers. I would actually first like to talk about the Panthers, because I found out while watching week 2 that they spent the number 1 overall pick in the USFL draft on Shea Patterson, quarterback. That certainly seems ludicrous now when you look at Shea's 2 mediocre performances in a row and all the other quarterbacks who have been outperforming him this season. Things are actually so bad in Michigan right now that fans are unironically questioning whether Paxton 40 fumbles in week 1 Lynch is a better option at quarterback. Not good. The only good thing about Michigan is the defense, which might be one of the strongest in the league. It's kind of hard to tell. On the other side are the Pittsburgh Maulers. I actually think they had one of the stronger performances in the league in week 2, despite losing to the Philadelphia Stars. Josh Love, in particular, their quarterback, took a huge step forward from week 1 to week 2. And I just don't think he's as bad as people think. He's certainly not great, but he definitely looked better than anything Michigan is trotting out these days. So I'm a big believer you got to have a quarterback you can trust. So I feel confident that Pittsburgh Maulers will beat the Michigan Panthers in week 3 by a score of 17-16. All right. And last but not least, we have the New Jersey Generals versus the Philadelphia Stars. Both teams are 1-1, and both teams won their games in week 2. However, I think Philadelphia is the hotter team right now, or maybe I should say more consistent team, with quarterback Brian Scott looking like an early league MVP favorite. New Jersey's offense, on the other hand, needs to find a rhythm before I can confidently pick them again. Philadelphia wins this one by a score of 31-21. And that'll do it for my week 3 predictions. Trying to wrap this up into a quicker video going forward. Hopefully this helps set the stage for you for another great week of spring football. So go ahead and make those final preparations for the week. Get your picks in, grab a case of beer, throw some dogs on the grill, get your cornhole out, and we will be back next week for more analysis and predictions. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Kriner Scoop. See you next time.